Well, hey there, everybody. It's Jim Palmer, the newsletter guru. I just got done reading a book a couple days ago called Fired Up by Harvey Mackay. All right, Harvey's writing about these different people, some of them pretty famous, business owners, sports figures, celebrities, who ended up getting fired from their job and then rising to do something pretty cool. When I was reading the book, it occurred to me how fun it was to know the backstories of people that you kind of know as you know them, if that makes any sense. Let me just tell you a couple of the names that were in the book. Joanne Kathleen Rowling, otherwise known as J.K. Rowling, she was fired from secretarial jobs before she wrote Harry Potter. Rom Stemberg was fired from a few companies before he founded Staples. Lance Armstrong, the great cyclist, was fired from the French cycling team. Picture that. Katie Couric was fired from CNN. Here's a good one. Listen. Walt Disney was fired for lack of ideas from a company he worked at. Johnny Cash was fired from the Grand Ole Opry. Lee Iacocca was fired from Ford before he went on to do great things with Chrysler. Of course, we know Howard Stern was fired a number of times, and I think the big question is, are you finished or are you a finisher? So I like the book, I recommend the book, but it also occurred to me that we know a lot about our current status, some of the people that we know and associate with in our own business circles and circle of friends. And we know, if you're like me and you're on Facebook and Twitter, you know a lot about certain people, but it's really peripheral and just really surface level stuff. And I thought, you know, one of the fun things about like Facebook is it's designed to bring people together and to get to know each other. But really what you know about each other is what your favorite quote is, you know, what your post is, and if you're like me, you post some success tip and strategies, and it helps you get to know each other, at least where you are today. And I thought, you know, when I read the book, Fired Up by Harvey Mackay, I thought, how fun would it be if we could use something like Facebook and maybe other forms of social media, we'll certainly put things on YouTube, to help get to know each other's backstories. So I thought, I'm going to get the ball rolling, all right? I'm going to tell you a little bit about what got me to the starting point, what brought me to the point of starting my business, which now a lot of people know me from that point forward. So are you catching my drift? This is called The Entrepreneurial Backstory. I love it. I'm going to post this on my Facebook page, and I'll probably post it on YouTube. And I thought it would be fun if maybe you recorded a video also, and let's get to know each other's backstories. Don't worry about being professional. No one's ever accused me of being professional. I've got a very inexpensive camera, and I just forgot to turn off my email alert. So should I roll with this or should I edit it out? Well, I guess you're going to find out. Let me turn off that noise so we don't get interrupted again. I think I'll leave it in just to help us not be too terribly professional. So here's my backstory. I had always worked for entrepreneurial companies. I started when I was 15, got a job in a bike shop. A lot of people know I was in the bike business. And when I moved to Pennsylvania when I was 19, I got a job at a bike store, and by 21, I was managing the bike store. I helped to grow that business from doing about $330,000 in sales up to about $1 million in sales. A lot of it through my newsletter, which I talk about when I speak live. After that, I was with that company for about 10 years, and then I was hired by a 14-store chain, which was actually a competitor, as a regional manager. And also I was brought on board to help them with some of their marketing efforts. About a year and a half after I went to work for this 14-store chain, they started franchising, and we ultimately grew that business from 14 stores to 80 stores in 18 states, which was kind of a rocket ship ride. And I rose through the ranks of that business, and ultimately, in 10 years, I was director of franchise operations. I was also running the marketing department for this company. I was doing the newsletter, running TV and radio, doing all the yellow pages around the country, doing all the overseeing all that kind of thing. I was there for 10 years. So that was about almost 25 years in the bike business, all told. After that, I was recruited by 3 entrepreneurs to start an association for a big chain of independent music stores. So I was going to form actually a buyers group, but it also had a marketing component. And we were very successful with that. In 2 years' time, we grew to about $500 million in representative sales from a lot of big chains around the country joined this association that we started. I was then recruited to be vice president of sales and marketing for a training company. So, you know, my career was rolling along pretty good, feeling pretty sure and probably pretty cocky, to be honest with you, about myself. And 6 months into this VP position, I was unceremoniously told by the owner that my position was being eliminated. So here I was, that was the summer of 2000. I think I was probably, I don't know, 41, 42 years old, something like that. And for the first time since I was 15 years old, I found myself out of work, which was, it was a little scary. But you know what, to be honest with you, I was kind of cocky. I had a lot of self-confidence, and I knew that I would find work and land on my feet pretty quickly. Well, that turned into a year, and I got to tell you, with you know, being married and I had 4 kids at home and a mortgage and expenses, a year being out of work was pretty scary. A lot of emotional ups and downs. There's like 3 different cases where I made it to the very top of almost getting a very, very good position, from being sought out by recruiters or looking for you know, positions, and then going from the giant pool, whittling all the way down to maybe the top 1 or 2, and then not getting it. That happened 3 times over the course of a year, so that was kind of an emotional roller coaster. And then in June of 2001, I was approached by somebody who met me at the previous association job. It was a guy who owned a large chain of musical instrument retail stores, and he hired me as a consultant to do a feasibility study to see if it made sense to franchise his business. It was about a 2-month gig. It paid well, and it was fun to be working again. Turns out it made imminent sense to franchise his business, and in August we started some conversation about me coming on board and starting up a franchise program for this business. So then in August of 2001, 2 very big things happened in my life. This potential job offer and negotiations, which took several weeks. But something else happened in August of 2001. I was diagnosed with melanoma. So I was pretty sure if you looked up the word stress in the dictionary at that point, you'd see my face. So that was pretty scary. And as a matter of fact, I talked to this new potential owner or employer on a Thursday. We kind of closed the deal on the phone, you know, verbally, kind of shook hands, if you will. And that very next day on a Friday is when I was having my surgery for the melanoma. And so now in early September of 2001, as I'm recovering, I did had my job offer. So again, I'm recovering and recuperating from the surgery. September 11th happened. And you all remember how doggone scary that was. You thought the world was going to come to an end. And a couple days after September 11th, I think it was actually the 13th, this my new employer called me and said, "Jim, we got to put our very ambitious growth plans on hold, and I'm really sorry, but we're going to rescind the job offer for now, and we'll see what happens." Well, once again, right down into the pits, you know, emotionally speaking. And so now it was October, and I'm pretty well healed and recovered, and I just didn't know what to do. I mean, I was really at a very, very low point in my life, and to be honest, I started praying for guidance. I didn't know what to do. I said, you know, Lord, what is it I'm supposed to do right now? And it became very, very clear to me that now was the time to start my business, because I've always wanted to be my own boss. I knew, looking at all my previous entrepreneurial employers, I could do that. I know I could do what they're doing. But you know what? With direct deposit and benefits and a paycheck and vacations and all this other stuff, it was never really a good time for me to start my business. But it became clear to me that that had all been removed, and now I was free to start my business. So in late 2001, I started my first business, and that's how I got started. So real quick, I'll bring you up to date. I started Dynamic Communication in late 2001. I was writing and designing newsletters for companies and organizations, chambers of commerce, nonprofits. And a few years later, I built a pretty nice clientele, but I was ready to grow even larger, and I wanted to use the power of the internet and things like that. And so in 2006, I launched my second business, which is NoHassleNewsletters.com. And in 2008, I launched my concierge print and mail on demand service, where I actually print and mail newsletters for companies all over the country. In 2009, in early 2009, I launched NewsletterPostcards.com, which is a giant postcard that looks like a newsletter, which is pretty cool. And in the fall of 2009, I launched my Standout E-zines, which is electronic newsletters. You may be on my mailing list, and you get that every Tuesday. And I also do mastermind and coaching groups. And so that kind of brings me, that's my backstory. Here's what I'd like to do. I'm hoping that you will record something. Again, don't be thinking professional camera and all set up. Let's just get to know each other. I think it'd be pretty cool. I guess there's the very real possibility that in 2 weeks or a month from now, my video will still be the only one up there, and I guess that'll be okay. We'll find out. But I know I have a lot of friends and different people on Facebook, and it'd be fun to get to know what brought you to the brink of starting your own business. Let's get to know each other a little bit better. Let's get to know our backstories, all right? So that's my backstory. Tell me yours and share it, and we'll post it on my fan page. Just put it right there for me. This is Jim Palmer, the Newsletter Guru. Take care, everybody.